Good afternoon and welcome back to Chief Data Officer Europe 2017. I'm Adam Plom from Corinium Intelligence and I'm joined by Gary Goldberg, the Chief Data Officer at Mizuho International. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've got a lot of sessions and you're doing a lot of talking topics today, so I want to jump straight to it and touch on a couple of things that we were just discussing. We've been discussing this with quite a few people. I'd love to get your views on it. How do you effectively unlock a productive, data-driven culture?
With a lot of hard work is the key answer. Data-driven culture, any cultural change, it's a hard one. You're trying to change people's mindsets. And mindsets are something that have been developed over many, many years of working practices, not even at your current organization, but where people have started. So you're trying to show them a better way. And the way in which I've tried to do that is to set out a strategy that aligns with the business strategy, and then to help each individual, help departments, teams understand how considering the data and the data criteria of their projects, of their day-to-day work, will help make things better. And it really is about unlocking that journey for them and helping them to see, whereas doing things a little bit differently is better. And really, you then have to start with that message. And they don't get it. They don't want to get it. They'll generally resist. There'll be a few people who would be very keen. But it's about demonstrating what that value is. And my conversations with the business didn't start with, let's have a data-driven culture. It was very much just sitting down with them and asking, what's good, what's bad, what doesn't work, what needs to be better. And invariably, with the things that needed to be better, involved broken business processes. It involved broken data as a result of those business processes. And when I listened, you could hear the almost pleading in their voices as to, somebody needs to do this. Nobody ever listens, and they like the fact that you're listening. And then from that, taking those items that they've listed out and demonstrating, going away and thinking about it and coming up with a solution. We can make it a bit better. Won't be perfect, but we can get you a step closer and helping bring them on that journey. And when people see that, they want more of it and they come back and it spreads by word of mouth. So that's the sort of carrot. And then there's also a bit of stick. Putting in place the governance, putting in place the controls. We went through a governance process that we hang off of our interdepartmental data flows. And the intention there was to help people want to be better. So my first conversation with our senior executive team was, I don't care what you do within your departments. That's your black box. I actually do care, but it was an easy sell. And then within that department, as long as you can do whatever you want within your department, so long as when you send data to another department, to another part of the organization, it meets certain basic criteria. And they were willing to accept that. And so we started putting the controls and the governance and the KPIs and the monitoring on those interdepartmental flows. And what we quickly found was that when one department had very manual processes, they found it very difficult to meet the required SLAs, to meet the quality requirements. And then when they were being questioned at senior levels and at the board level why they were breaking the bank's processes, they came back to me saying, Gary, we need some help. Can you help make our internal processes better? And we kind of created that natural demand by focusing the points of control and focusing attention on where it was most valuable.
So a couple of things I'd like to pick up on there. First of all, you said, when you first start speaking to these business functions, they don't really know what you're talking about. They don't really want to know what you're talking about.
Yep.
How do you speak the right language to those people? So, for example, speaking to those in marketing is going to be different to a different department. How do you tailor your message? It's
interesting. I think a lot of the conversations we've had at this event and at previous iterations of CDO Europe have talked about what is a CDO and what are the characteristics of a CDO. One of the things I think makes a very successful CDO is someone who understands the business, who understands the business flows. So how do I have those conversations? Because I've been through change programs across the bank or other banks before, so I kind of get what drives their business. And my aim is to have conversations in terms that they understand. I don't ever like speaking to business users in data architecture terms, because if I have to do that, I've probably lost the conversation before I started. It's about making it relevant to them.
And the other thing sort of struck me, you mentioned that some people will get it in business functions.
Yes.
How do you put those to use? How do you get the most out of them?
By promoting them. I don't mean promoting them as in career advancement. I mean just talking about them and talking about the good job they've done. Change happens from small increments. So if I can take a small number of people who can start doing things a little bit better, then we start making the overall corporate environment a little bit better. And that's how. And we start giving positive reinforcement back to their boss. We start helping them to succeed and doing things better. And when others around them see them having less issues, when they see them having less production incidents because their data is that much better, people naturally want to emulate that. So it's using those as examples.
Absolutely. Sort of a change of tact in a way, but I know this is something that you're quite passionate about and what you're involved with at the moment. But in your opinion, what are the key building blocks to improve your product offerings through data?
Well, the first step for improving product offering is get your basics right. Second step is to understand the business strategy. Our product offerings, our data products, are only ever there to support the business offerings. So in our environment at Mizuho, we're actually going a bit counter-cyclical. We're actually trying to innovate and introduce new products to the market and trade new things. And the business can only really do that effectively if the data behind it supports those initiatives and allows automation. So for us, our product offerings out of the data office are there to support what the business requires.
And what are the most valuable data sources, I guess, for that product innovation? Obviously, it depends on which product, but how do you get the inspiration to find those data sources?
To some extent, over time we've built data warehouses. We have our data lake, and I was fortunate that when I arrived at Mizuho, the IT teams had done a lot of good work building the core infrastructure. So we've leveraged that and put BI tools on top of that and tried to get insight. But for us, it's about getting efficiencies. It's about saying to the business, if you want to implement change, historically it has cost you X million to implement change. I can have that. And then using the data that we have to back that up. So there's no one source of data. There's no one tool that we rely on. It's trying to get access to all the data. What we do in the data office is to try to bridge the various data sources by helping the business to pull those disparate data sets together to get some overall intelligence, where I have a sales repository and I have a trading database and we have other static data repositories. When you can pull them all together, you can actually start getting intelligence on the business and help drive those efficiencies, and that's what we've attempted to do.
And how do you continue to innovate? Everyone talks about innovation, innovation, innovation. How do you keep finding ways to be more innovative and launch more data-driven products?
I think, well, one, to clarify, our data-driven products, because we're a business-to-business organization, tends to be heavily focused internally. And the innovation is looking at where we spend our time, where we spend what cost us money, and where we have opportunities to sell to clients. So it's very much driven from where our sales opportunities are and where our costs are, and trying to see how we get that down. So if I take our sales, for example, our London operations, we deal with the same clients that our New York business, that our Tokyo business does, where we can actually drive shared understanding of how we work with our customers in different regions. We have cross-selling opportunities, and how we leverage that is an evolutionary process, and we build. We do one, see if it works. If it does, then we extend that. And work very closely with our senior management team from all the business areas to let them help to drive the innovation. We talk about different subjects around democratization of data. Well, one of the things I've tried to do is to democratize the priorities. The business knows what they want to do. My job is to work closely with them to help enable that.
Gary, a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for joining us.